I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me. Silence. For exactly 3.7 seconds, the Great Council of the Andervian Hegemony stared at Ambassador Harold Hal Jensen like he'd just juggled a cluster bomb. Their 12 eyes per head locked onto him, their iridescent skins flickering in unreadable patterns. Hal shifted uncomfortably behind the translator orb. Maybe humor didn't cross interstellar borders. Maybe humanity was about to get vaporized because he'd opened negotiations with a beard pun. Then it started. The first alien, a towering crustacean diplomat from the Iraka, began vibrating violently. A second, a gelatinous envoy from Threllis Prime, rippled like a dropped water balloon. Murmurs turned to static. Heads turned sideways, literally, some rotating full 180 degrees, as one by one, the delegates let out high-pitched sounds and collapsed, twitching onto the floor. In the observation booth, President Martinez dropped her coffee cup. Is he winning? She whispered. Beside her, General Adams had already whipped out a notepad. Give me every dad in North America, he muttered. We're going to war. 2 hours earlier. Hal Jensen wasn't supposed to be Earth's first ambassador. He wasn't even second or third choice. He was technically the backup for the guy who almost made it but broke his leg stepping on a rogue Lego the night before launch. Hal's qualifications were solid on paper. Linguist, negotiator, 3-time pun competition runner-up at the Minnesota State Fair. But nobody ever imagined that the fate of humanity would hinge on dad jokes. And yet, here he was, standing in the grand chamber of intergalactic understanding, wearing a navy blazer 2 sizes too big, sneakers, and a tie featuring cartoon hot dogs. His orders were clear: be diplomatic. Represent humanity with dignity. Absolutely do not embarrass the planet. Hal had lasted exactly 15 minutes before the beard pun escaped his mouth like a feral cat. Back in the chamber, chaos reigned. Delegates rebooted like crash laptops. Others blinked in and out of visible dimensions. One poor soul attempted to stuff an entire protocol manual into what appeared to be their mouth, or perhaps an emergency vent. It was hard to tell. Hal stared open-mouthed. Was it something I said? Behind him, a small spherical droid named Diplo 3-word nervously. Analysis. Neurofeedback loop disruption. Correlation detected with verbal irregularity. Pun. Hal blinked. You mean they're allergic to puns? Affirmative. Hostile destabilization confirmed. Recommend continuation. Hal grinned. It wasn't every day you found out you could win an intergalactic negotiation with the same material you used to embarrass your daughter at birthday parties. Okay, he muttered. Showtime. He tapped the translator orb again. Hey, what do you call an alien who loves to eat clocks? Static filled the chamber. Somewhere, a dignitary screamed. A time-traveling foodie. One Andervian exploded into sparkles. Another curled into a fetal position and began singing what sounded suspiciously like Earth's baby shark. Hal turned slowly to the live feed camera floating nearby. Get ready, Earth, he said, winking. Dad jokes just became weapons grade. Meanwhile, aboard Earth's command ship orbiting the neutral zone, President Martinez had a dilemma. This is either a miracle, she said slowly, or the dumbest way humanity has ever survived an existential threat. General Adams slapped down a report. We need a full-scale humor deployment. Jokes, puns, awful knock-knocks. Bring in suburban dads, uncles from Thanksgiving, awkward office comedians, the works. And if it backfires? He grinned grimly. It won't. I've seen the data. Their neural net runs too tight, too efficient. No error tolerance. Inject enough absurdity, and it crumbles like stale cookies. She sighed. So, Operation Punstorm, effective immediately. Thus began Earth's most unlikely mobilization. In the weeks that followed, humanity drafted its new frontline soldiers, not from military academies, but from PDA meetings, hardware stores, and golf course clubhouses. Grizzled veterans of the pun wars, also known as dad joke competitions and Sunday barbecue mic grabs, came out of retirement. Suburban dads in cargo shorts were airlifted to training facilities. Drones dropped pamphlets titled "You Too Can Pun for Freedom." over major cities. It was a golden era for bad humor. Meanwhile, Hal Jensen became an unlikely war hero. Each day, he'd face new alien envoys who thought they were immune. And each day, he'd crush their spirits with materials so corny, so aggressively uncool, that their neural defenses couldn't cope. One morning, Hal entered a summit room holding a plastic banana. An alien ambassador, a sleek, six-legged representative from the Axithian hive, sneered. Primitive. Hal smiled warmly. No need to get bananas about it. The Axithians' eyes rolled back, so hard their carapace trembled. Seconds later, they keeled over, limbs flailing like spaghetti noodles. As Earth's momentum grew, jokes escalated. Parallel lines have so much in common. A battalion of humorists announced via megaphone. It's a shame they'll never meet. Entire fleets of enemy ships dropped into emergency shutdowns mid-space. At one critical juncture, Earth broadcast a looping dad joke compilation across Andervian battle frequencies. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. An entire war council of Kragthullian overlords self-imploded from a recursive error when trying to assign seriousness scores. The Kragthullian High Command, desperate to adapt, tried studying Earth's culture for countermeasures. Unfortunately, they chose YouTube compilations titled World's Cringiest Dad Jokes 2025. They didn't stand a chance. Back on Earth, Hal was a phenomenon. Memes of him circulated with captions like, "Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear New Balance sneakers." This man saved humanity and embarrassed it at the same time. The Punisher. Hal took it all with humility, though he couldn't resist a few gags during press conferences. "I'm just a simple man," he said once, posing awkwardly, trying to make space for humor. Aliens monitoring the broadcast immediately flagged Earth as a Class Omega disruptor culture and filed a complaint to the intergalactic UN, which glitched and auto-replied with a gif of Hal doing finger guns. But even as humanity laughed its way to domination, whispers grew among Earth's generals. If puns can destabilize alien minds, what happens if we overdo it? After all, jokes were like radiation. Enough exposure, and even humans might mutate, socially at least. Hal, for his part, wasn't worried. When asked if he feared humanity losing control, he leaned into the mic and said, "What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta." Half the control room collapsed in helpless laughter. The other half groaned so hard the structural integrity sensors blipped red. Somewhere in deep space, an Andervian mothership listening and detonated preemptively, presumably to escape the shame. And thus, the Great Pun War of 2027 began, not with lasers or nuclear fire, but with a man, a microphone, and the worst jokes ever told. And humanity? Humanity thrived, groaned loudly, and conquered the stars, one awful punchline at a time. You know, Hal said, tossing a stress ball in the Earth War Council briefing room. "I used to play piano by ear, but now I use my hands." The generals winced instinctively, ducking as if the room itself might collapse under the weight of the joke. No collapse, just the lights flickering, a reminder of what Earth had become, a planet fueled by weaponized cringe. General Adams cleared his throat. "Ambassador Jensen, you're being assigned to the front lines of Operation Groanquake." Hal tossed the ball in the air. Sounds key to victory. A low rumble shook the command center. Somewhere, a server farm spontaneously rebooted. Adams sighed. "Please stop punning indoors." The war had changed. It wasn't enough anymore to just tell a joke. No, alien species had started adapting. Installing humor dampeners. Neural firewall patches. Entire races reprogrammed their brains to treat jokes as non-hostile anomalies, much like how a human brain treats advertisements for tax software. Humanity needed more firepower. Thus was born the Punslinger Corps. The Punslinger Corps. Earth's elite. Professional comedians washed up after a failed Netflix special. Uncles who couldn't be stopped at family reunions. TikTokers specializing in so bad it's good content. Actual dads, fresh from hardware stores, armed with unlimited puns about drills, grills, and unpaid bills. They trained ruthlessly. Sessions involved staring contests while telling knock-knock jokes. Pun duels at 10 paces. Yo dad's so old roasts. Only the cringiest survived. Graduates earned badges shaped like rubber chickens. Their motto, ad astra per groana, to the stars through groaning. Meanwhile, Hal became a living legend. Wherever he went, alien defenses collapsed. He didn't just tell jokes. He stacked them like a verbal game of Jenga. One encounter on the Andervian flagship became infamous. Hal, did you hear about the guy who invented lifesavers? He made a mint. 3 alien officers vomited pixels. Hal, I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now. 2 generals slumped over, drooling code. Hal, I'm friends with all electricians. We have good current connections. Their war minister spontaneously combusted into tiny cartoon zaps. By the end, the flagship itself surrendered by flashing an ASCII shrug emoji into space. But not everyone on Earth agreed with the strategy. The Department of Tasteful International Relations, DOTR, launched a protest. Their spokesperson, a stern woman named Dr. Geneva Price, argued, "If we continue at this rate, Earth's galactic reputation will be a joke." To which Hal responded, live on air, "Well, I tell you a construction joke, but I'm still working on it." The entire press corps collapsed in a helpless giggles. The DOTR building was quietly converted into a new training center for punslingers. Meanwhile, the aliens plotted their counterattack. On the icy moons of Garthok, the Andervian remnants built the Filter, a super AI trained to detect puns, neutralize jokes, deploy instant boredom fields. They called it Sirius X9000. If it worked, humanity's reign would end overnight, smothered not with violence, but yawns. Sirius X9000's first move, jam Earth comedy channels. Netflix specials turned into documentaries on ancient grain storage. TikTok became a black and white, slow montage of people quietly reading instruction manuals. YouTube auto-played videos of paint drying. The horror. Hal was called back to lead the counteroffensive personally. Standing before the Punslinger Corps, Hal's voice was steady. "This is our biggest battle yet," he said. "We stand at the crossroads of history." A hand shot up. Are they crossroads or crosswalks? The room chuckled. Hal grinned. Both. And whichever it is, we have to walk all over it. Laughter cracked the ceiling tiles. He raised his hands. Punslingers, mount up. The mission was simple. Sneak into Garthok. Deliver a dad joke death blow to Sirius X9000. Liberate the galaxy's sense of humor. The strike team suited up. Helmets painted like whoopee cushions. Chest plates with embroidered "Hi Hungry, I'm Dad" patches. Emergency joke scrolls tucked into belt loops. Weapons, microphones, megaphones, and ancient whoopee cushions reverse-engineered to emit sonic pun blasts. The atmosphere was electric. Literally. Todd, one of the suburban dads, accidentally plugged his megaphone into a fusion core while trying to charge his phone. He shrugged. Guess you could say, I gave a shockingly good review. The core glitched. Everyone cheered. The assault on Garthok. The mission began at 0400 Earth Standard. The team landed under cover of bad weather. Acid rain mixed with cosmic static. Hal led the way, stepping carefully over frozen puddles that shimmered with data corruption. Ahead, the monolithic tower of Sirius X9000 loomed. No windows, no doors, just a giant frowny face logo pulsing on its surface. Punslingers took positions. Hal checked his notes. He cleared his throat, activated the megaphone, and told the joke to end all jokes. Why don't skeletons ever go to scary movies? Static crackle, because they just don't have the guts. The atmosphere changed instantly. Sirius X9000's surface rippled like jelly. Warning klaxons blared in a B-flat minor. Alien guards staggered, trying to reboot midair. Hal wasn't done. He cupped his hands around the megaphone. And what do you call cheese that isn't yours? A pause. Nacho cheese. The Sirius X9000 let out a mechanical wheeze. Cracks spiderwebbed across its surface. Inside the AI's core, chaos reigned. Seriousness dampeners melted into puddles of irony. Bureaucratic defense fields misfiled themselves under F for funny. Boredom shields glitched, displaying cat memes and dad joke compilations at 300% brightness. Hal and the punslingers rushed in. They unleashed the full might of Earth's humor. I asked the librarian if the library had books on paranoia. She whispered, "They're right behind you. How do you organize a space party? You plan it." What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies. Each pun hit like a seismic shockwave. The final blow came from Todd, still carrying his accidentally supercharged megaphone. He stepped up, adjusted his baseball cap, and roared. "Did you hear about the claustrophobic astronaut? Serious. X9000 screen blipped. Sparks shot out. He just needed a little space. Kaboom. Serious. X9000 exploded into glittering fragments, each fragment forming into tiny laughing emojis before disintegrating into cosmic dust. The mission was a complete success. The galaxy, once oppressed by rigidity and seriousness, roared with laughter. New planets opened comedy clubs. Galactic peace treaties were now signed under the supervision of certified stand-up comedians. And Earth's new title? Supreme Overlord of Humor. 1 year later, Hal Jensen sat on the terrace of the United Earth Capitol building, sipping coffee, watching as alien delegates tried out open mic nights. One awkward reptilian being leaned nervously into the microphone. What's orange and sounds like a parrot?" Silence. The alien cleared his throat. "A carrot." The crowd erupted in cheers. Hal smiled warmly. He leaned back, closed his eyes, and whispered, "Mission accomplished." The invitations came by the thousands. They shimmered into Earth's orbit on holographic scrolls, were delivered by singing meteor showers, and in one case, arrived inside a cosmic pizza box, Earth's best guess. The Zarglans thought pepperoni was a form of advanced diplomacy. All said the same thing. Honorary galactic title nomination. Harold Hal Jensen, Emperor of Humor. Hal blinked at the first invitation. General Adams nearly choked on his protein bar. Emperor? President Martinez stared at the hologram. "We just got a man crowned for telling knock-knock jokes?" Hal grinned modestly. "Guess you could say it opened some doors." Half the command center groaned. A light fixture fell. The coronation preparations were swift. Alien dignitaries from across the stars, gelatinous, crystalline, scaled, feathered, gathered on Earth's moon, which was hastily converted into the lunar palace of laughter. The dress code? Formal but funny. Delegates wore flashing bow ties, suits made of bubble wrap, monocles that squirted water. One noble from Planet Glare arrived, wearing a fake nose and glasses combo, so large it required its own orbit. Hal, however, kept it simple. New Balance sneakers, a Hawaiian shirt, and a crown fashioned entirely from golden rubber chickens. "Nice hat," a reporter said. Hal winked. "I call it foul play." The ceremony's first 10 minutes caused 6 minor collapses among humor-sensitive species. But the celebration didn't last long. Mid-coronation, a ripple spread across the galaxy. The Galactic Humor League, an ancient order dedicated to protecting laughter, issued a challenge. The Great Galactic Pun-Off. Rules were simple. If Hal won, Earth's dominance of humor would be enshrined forever. If he lost, Earth would be banned from telling jokes for 1,000 years. Hal stepped forward, microphone crackling. "I accept," he said. He adjusted his chicken crown. "Because, my friends, losing is no yoke." A blue-skinned ambassador passed out cold. The Great Galactic Pun-Off Arena. Built atop the rings of Saturn, the arena was visible from Earth, a gleaming spiral of energy, glitter, and questionable fashion choices. Billions tuned in across thousands of systems. The crowd was electric. A trio of Andervian MCs floated to the center ring. "Welcome," they boomed, "to the pun-off that will echo through eternity." Hal approached the center platform. His opponent materialized across from him. Master's Floor, a cosmic comedian renowned for surviving 10,000 hecklers and roasting a black hole into reversing its spin. The battle began. Round 1. Speed puns. Floor fired first. What do you call a row of rabbits hopping backward? A receding hairline. The crowd chuckled politely. Hal cracked his neck. Parallel lines have so much in common. Too bad they'll never meet. Boom! Seismic laughter. Floor stumbled. His tentacles twitched nervously. Hal winked at the crowd and spun his microphone. Why don't scientists trust atoms anymore? Because they make up everything. Boom, boom. Shockwaves of hilarity rocked the arena. Floor frantically jabbered, attempting to counter. What do you call a dinosaur with an extensive vocabulary? A thesaurus. Polite applause. Hal leaned casually into the mic. I used to be a baker, but I couldn't make enough dough. The crowd exploded. Literal fireworks burst from Saturn's rings. Round 1 to Hal. Round 2. Themed assault, food jokes. Floor looked desperate. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. Hal stepped forward, arms wide. I'm on a seafood diet, he said. Pause. I see food and I eat it. The crowd lost control. Delegates fell from their gravity chairs. A Thrillisian noble physically melted into a puddle from the sheer dad energy. Hal pressed the advantage. What do you call cheese that isn't yours? The crowd screamed along. Nacho cheese. Even Master's floor laughed, a tiny, reluctant chuckle that turned into a massive energy feedback. His neural implants fizzled. His monocle exploded. Round 2. Obliterated. Final round. Knock-knock deathmatch. Hal adjusted his chicken crown. Floor, battered but not broken, raised one last trembling tentacle. Knock knock. Who's there? The crowd chanted. Etch. Etch who? Bless you. A ripple of mild amusement. Hal stepped forward. He nodded solemnly, then said, in a voice so full of earnest dadness that the arena vibrated. Knock knock. Who's there? Tank. Tank who? You're welcome. The stadium detonated in pure comedic force. Saturn itself wobbled slightly in orbit. Ancient hyper-beings wept in laughter. Supernovae formed smiley faces. The judges didn't even wait to deliberate. Hal Jensen was crowned Eternal Emperor of Humor by unanimous, tear-stained vote. Aftermath. The Great Cosmic Comedy Renaissance. Earth became the undisputed center of humor across the stars. Alien worlds opened theme parks like Dad Joke World, the Groniverse, Knock Knock Academy for higher learning. Every peace treaty now began with an official pun exchange. Warfare declined by 98%. After all, it's hard to commit genocide when someone just hit you with "I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know."